welcome everyone to today's Tuesday Times Roundtable. Today's session is about creativity meets sustainability, youth for the SDGs and the 2030 agenda. We have a wonderful and dynamic team of leaders across South Florida and also doing amazing things around the world. We're going to be introducing them shortly, but moderating the session today, we have Accountable Impact. So this is a wonderful organization that promotes the SDGs. That's why we see the SDGs here today. As you engage in the conversation, we just ask you to raise your hand so that way we have a couple of microphones around the room and we can capture also your engagement in our recording as well. Okay, for our Global Learning Medallion students, please make sure that you do a screenshot of your sign-in so you can add it to your activities log. Always remember that TTR, it is a one-point opportunity for all of you. And whether you're here for Global Learning Medallion points, honors, scholars, extra credit from your professor, faculty, or staff joining us today, we're just very happy that you're here joining us today. Also, our Tuesday Times Roundtable are connected to a news article, just so it continues the conversation. This is due to the partnership within FIU and the New York Times that provides digital access to all FIU students, faculty, and staff. So you may go to access.nyt.com just to activate your account and access the article for the week at go.fiu.edu/TTR0318. Also, today's Tuesday Times Roundtable connects to SDG number 11, Sustainable Cities and Communities by Making Cities and Human Settlements Inclusive, Safe, Resilient, and Sustainable. To learn more about SDG number 11, including the targets, indicators, and the progress on this goal, go to go.fiu.edu/SDG. All right, so now it is my pleasure to introduce today's panel. It's a very distinguished panel. We do have Scarlett Lanzas, the founder and CEO for Accountable Impact. Also, Daniela and Annette Felder, they're co-founders of Future Fashion Concepts. Alessandra Escobar from Lynn University, and also Paola Barranco, co-founder of Glass for Life. Today's moderator, it is Scarlett Lanzas. She is a social entrepreneur and nonprofit management executive with a demonstrated history of working with public and private sector agencies, nonprofits, and international development and humanitarian organizations. Scarlett supports causes ranging from civic engagement, social and environmental justice, and the protection of human rights around the world. Scarlett founded Accountable Impact, a nonprofit organization activating local and global networks to accelerate and localize the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, also known as the SDGs, in South Florida. At the United Nations World Food Program, she worked in international development programs and humanitarian food assistance in emergency operations, relief, and recovery operations. Scarlett was also appointed as the chair of the Community Board for Climate Week Miami, which is 2024-2030, an inclusive platform to engage local organizations, policymakers, corporate visionaries, youth, scientists, entrepreneurs, and produce high-level discussions on solutions on climate change. Scarlett serves on the board of directors of Seaworthy Collection and Impact That Edition, and she's committed to fostering relationships and developing partnerships with organizations that work on achieving the UN SDG. Let's welcome Scarlett and the panel.
Thank you, Janelle. You're so kind. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon, right? It's already noon. Very happy to be back at FIU. I'm a Panther. I used to go, so, well, how do you do it? Right? And I didn't hear you. You guys are over there. You're students, right? How does Panthers go? I also did work at the public administration department doing some accreditation work for NASPA. I'm very happy to be here. FIU is my home. I have a lot of friends in. I see more friends here. I'm Connie, Professor Rovira, and they're one of our premier partners to the work that we do at Accountable Impact, and it's localizing and activating communities to accelerate the SDGs in South Florida. So before we get into the work that we do and why we're here is because we truly believe that for sustainable cities and communities, the creative industries play a role. Does anyone know what the creative industries is all about? Just one? Tell me one of the creative industries jobs that are, go ahead.
Clothing.
Clothing, yeah, there you go. I'm so glad that you mentioned that. Yes, sustainable fashion, video, documentaries, designers, architects are part of the creative industries. And that's why we're here. We want to showcase the best practices and the solutions and different businesses that many creatives in South Florida have launched in the past couple of years to make South Florida a sustainable city for all. So it's all aligned to the SDGs. So like Jonetti said, my name is Scarlett Lanzas. I'm the founder and CEO of Accountable Impact, which is a nonprofit organization that is based in South Florida. And what we do is we activate networks. So this right here is a network. So we work with academia, we work with public sector, private sector, community activists to really come together and co-design programs that must balance economic growth, environmental protection, and social progress. We have been doing this work for the past 5 years, and I can happily tell you that now, after 5 years, even longer than that, we can say that the SDGs are finally taking traction, right? I'm sure that everyone knows what the SDGs are, right? The 17 global goals that were approved in 2015 by 193 nations, right? I don't have to get into that, right? Correct? Okay, we're good. And one of the premier programs that we have at Accountable Impact is called the SDG Challenge. And this is where all of you can play a role. The SDG Challenge, it's a program that started in the Netherlands. It's a student competition that basically looks for students to work with local companies so that they can co-create, sustainable strategies, business models, and make companies, responsible and committed to achieving sustainable goals, right? Our SDG and Miami ecosystem partners, as you can see there, like I said before, we work with universities, FIU being one. We work with consulates, with the county, with municipalities, companies, and even the media, because we do this work as a collective to really push for the SDGs. So right now I'm going to show you a little bit of a video or a recap, I should say, of what this SDG challenge is all about. You're going to see familiar faces from FIU in this short 60-second video. Stop it right there. If you can see what it says, that all of those images were shot by an iPhone. Remember that. I'll come back at the end to see why that's important. And the way we're going to do this is this panel discussion that so the SDG Challenge, before we get into the panel discussion, is a student competition where all of you are invited to apply. We've done it for 2 years. We've had several FIU students. We've had students from University of Miami, Miami-Dade College, and Lynn University in Boca, which you'll learn more about how Lynn is involved. And I'm proud to say that the team that won last year, the 2024 SDG Challenge winner, had a student from FIU, from actually Professor Rovira's, one of the students of the architecture and landscape design. So you guys can join also this year. Applications will open in April, and it's a fun activity. You get to network, you get to meet and talk to elected officials at the county and municipal level, companies, chambers of commerce, and even the economic development agency for Miami-Dade County, which is Miami-Dade Beacon Council, which is the organization that is bringing new industries and new jobs to South Florida. And I'm sure Alex is going to tell you a little bit about the experience, and but I want to tell you what they won. Last year was really exciting for us because we were able to offer a UN trip. So we're going to take the team that won to the United Nations headquarters in New York City in September during the United Nations General Assembly. And also it's Climate Week New York, and it's also a lot of events and activations around the SDG. Is the most exciting week in New York. If you like, the global development goals and sustainability and diplomacy, that a lot of presidents and dignitaries and even celebrities come to the UN to really push for progress in around the world. So the way this is gonna go is that I'm gonna present each of our panelists, and they're going to be talking a little bit about what they do, how their work is related to the SDGs. They're going to be presenting a little bit on their businesses and their ventures. And then I'm going to ask them a couple of questions. And then what we want to do is we want to open it up for questions from the audience. And then we're going to finish up with a very cool initiative that we also can be part of, that is related to the challenge and also to the creative industries. Does that work? Sounds like a plan? Very cool. So I want to introduce Alexandra Escobar. She is the proud winner of the SDG Challenge Miami in 2024, and she's a graduate from the University on Social Innovation and Management. So I'm going to start with you, Alex. I would love for you to share with your fellow students and other FIU friends what the challenge is all about and how did you get involved in activating the SDGs in South Florida.
Perfect. Thank you, Scarlett. So, hi, everybody. I got involved because I didn't want to be part of the sidelines. I really wanted to get involved and take action, be part of the change. And I feel like as youth, this is our future. We have to be able to challenge the status quo and be able to make decisions, be part of the decision makers, and be able to guide those that are in power to make what's best for a sustainable, inclusive, innovative future. So I got chosen to be part of the SDG Challenge because it was just an amazing experience for me to be able to get hands-on experience with those that are in power and are doing what it takes to, accelerate for a sustainable future. Businesses, journalists, anybody in this field can do the work that it needs to take to have the future that we all dream of. And I feel like, especially as youth, we have to learn these skills. We need to learn how is it that we're going to not just have an idea, but apply this idea and be able to create this future. So I got hands-on experience with the Miami-Dade Beacon Council through the SDG Challenge, and I was able to create this SDG immersion plan, which is being able to have someone there to explain what are the SDGs, why they matter, why it's not just good for business, but actually needed to imagine the future we need, right? And so it's taking accountability of businesses. It's connecting the dots and working together with all different stakeholders, businesses, investors. For example, if you're in finance, look into impact investing, right? If you're a journalist, solutions journalism. If you're into, an architect, green buildings, right? So it all involves with SDG 11. It's what is the community we want to be able to build. And so with the SDG immersion program, I was able to do a step-by-step guide on what it takes to be able to create the Miami community in the Miami city that we want, that's resilient, that's innovative, and that's sustainable. And the SDGs are a blueprint for that.
Great. Well, let me just add that Alex and her team did an amazing work to the point that the Beacon Council is that formally adopting the SDGs, which is a huge win. When I say not for us only, but for the entire region, right? Because the Beacon Council is now going to ask companies to commit to at least one SDG and be that champion to drive, whether it's gender equality, whether it's innovation and infrastructure, whether it's life below water. That's something that we're really proud of. And also they created even a program that is going to have a pledge component and a scorecard. So we're going to be tracking, how companies in South Florida are going to be, accelerating the SDGs. So that's exciting, and that's like groundbreaking work for Miami. And coming from young people, right, it's more meaningful. So thank you, Alex.
Yeah.
So let me transition to Miss Paola Barranco. Paola is the co-founder of Glass for Life. I'd love for you to share a little bit of why and how you got involved in the SDGs ecosystem in South Florida, and what do you do? What's so innovative about your work in Miami specifically?
Well, thank you very much. Thank you, Scarlett. I have been working in sustainability since 2014, more or less, but then I moved from Mexico City to Miami 2.5 years ago, and I started to work with Compost for Life with the founder, Francisco, and because that's what I know how to do, and that's what I love. And eventually I found that Miami, I cannot say United States, because even though this is a whole country, every state is like a different country with different law, different infrastructure, different everything. So here in Florida, we have a very pure infrastructure for composting, recycling, sustainability in general. So we have a lot of work to do. And there's a lot of opportunities for every business and sustainable business. So when one of our customers said like, okay, I need you to help me with my glass, because we have a lot of glass and there is no recycling programs here in Miami. We were like, what? Are you sure about it? So Francisco and I started looking for it, and we said like, yes, well, Miami-Dade does not recycle glass. So imagine this country with all the bars that you go, all so many hotels, so many wine bottles and everything. All this is going to the landfills. And let me tell you something else. Glass comes from silica, and silica is the second most extracted resources in this planet, just after water. So we are taking sand, taking, and we are sending everything to the landfill. So that's that. Thank you very much. That is glass sand. So when you have time, just go. And this used to be a wine bottle. You see the color? And this is sand, and you can even touch it. This is perfectly safe. So this is what we do. We turn glass again into silica, into glass sand, and this glass sand eventually can be bottles again. So we close the circle. So instead of extracting and extracting, so we are trying to find responsible companies that wants to work with us, responsible hotels, bars, restaurants. But also another challenge that we have is that a lot of people say like, okay, for example, this morning I was talking to someone that from California, and she said like, okay, I have a lot of glass in here, so can you come to my warehouse and take all the glass containers, and how much are you going to pay to me? And I'm like, what? I mean, so you want me to work free for you, and even you want me to pay? Yeah, because that is the way it works in California. Okay, let me explain to you the difference between California and Florida. Here we have different government, different laws, different infrastructure, different support. So we have to pave the way. But if you make your own way, there's no traffic. So there's a lot of things that we can do. But we have to find those people that really wants to build a better future. And I would love to, well, this is the kind of things that we can do with glass sand. And I would like to stop in flood mitigation, because as you all know, climate change is hitting different every zone. And in California, for example, they have a lot of fires and air quality. Here we have floods, a lot, and more every year, and more hurricanes. So exactly, glass sand is the easiest way to restore the soil. So we are sending our solution to the landfills. Imagine that. It is how crazy it is. So I have always think that we have this power to make this place or every place a better and leave it better than how we find it. So, well, a very simple way to find your purpose is whenever you think like someone should do this, maybe you have to think, oh, maybe I am that someone. So maybe I should do this. So this is why we start with glass.
Great.
And this is our impact. We started just in 2024, and in the first year we recycled almost 300 tons of glass.
Isn't that amazing? Wow, it's impressive. And then does anyone know what today's day is? It's Tuesday, March 18th, right? We know that. But does anyone else know why this day is important? And it's so relevant to what Paola is doing. No? World Recycling Day. So
Yes, well-
thank you, Paola, for doing that celebration for you.
Yeah, we had a lot
So-
of events in the weekend for that.
Yes, I know. So then promise you guys are going to recycle one thing today, at least, because it's World Recycling Day. You have to be part of this, okay? So thank you, Paola.
Thank you.
Now let's transition to the amazing twin sisters, Daniela and Annette Felder. Same question for you. I'd love to share what you have been working on for quite some time in different continents, actually. But how did you get involved with the SDGs ecosystem in South Florida, and why?
Thank you so much, Scarlett, for having us and for having us back at FIU, where we had the pleasure to be part of the SDG deep dive that you did as part of the SDG challenge. So it's great to be here again. So yes, I'm Annette Felder. That's my twin
Daniela
sister.
Felder.
We were cross-Atlantic. I'm based here in Miami. My sister is
I'm based in Berlin and come as a snowbird during the winter. Trust me, Berlin winters are very, very long.
So we are co-founders of Future Fashion Concepts, which you mentioned, which I come to in a moment. But really, we are also co-founders of a fashion brand called Felder Felder, which was part of London Fashion Week for a long time. And that's where we first expressed our creativity, but it was very far removed, which we realized at a later stage, from our personal values of being in harmony with the environment and people. We come from the German countryside, so we're a very small village, and we grew up basically in the forest. And only in a later stage, we realized that our industry that we loved so much, that expressed our creativity so well, was not in harmony with what we did in our profession. So despite great recognition with celebrity dressing and being part of a world fashion stage, we realized that we don't want to participate anymore the way that the fashion system is working, because really it's a systemic problem. It's not only, oh, I'm using sustainable materials, which of course it's a better choice than not doing it, but it's a whole system. So that's when we first really wanted to tune in what we're doing with the SDGs. We started with our own line with SDG 12, responsible consumption and production, and didn't want to participate in seasonal collections anymore. So we moved away, focusing on working with much more intriguing innovations that are really advancing solutions in the world of sustainability,
that are aligned with our values as well. And as plant-based ourselves, for us, the most exciting aspect was to really find and work with solutions in the plant-based material innovations. At that time, that was around 2013-14, it was really a true challenge, because we're not only designers, we're also, in the luxurious field. So to find alternatives in the fashion industry that are also on that level of luxury was a true challenge.
Yes, and through research and connecting with networks of like-minded innovators in the field of biomaterials, in the field of fashion technology, we were lucky enough to get our hands on some of these material innovations that are, at the time, most of them weren't on the market even yet. Today, some of them are still not on the market, but some of them are. So we were able to create a line that we call Ecouture, so Eco and Couture, which I also had the pleasure of showcasing here at FIU with Professor Rovia. So thank you for that. Which really show some of those solutions, like, for example, the dress that you see with the blue is made from mango waste. So in a way, it is upcycling waste from the food industry, in this case from Rotterdam. It's two young guys like yourself. They were students, just maybe graduated from university, And they saw this problem of food waste and were like, wow, this can't go to landfill, you know, let's find a solution. And they experimented and realized they can do a leather-like material with it, completely free of animal. And it's more, in all fairness, it's more for the furniture industry, but we worked with it for fashion, and it was very interesting to see the result. The same for...
Yeah, for example, the dress that you see with a gold belt was a material that is very much like silk, but it's actually not silk. It's made from byproducts of the citrus industry. So it's the material is called orange fiber, and it's a replacement for silk materials, which are not vegan. So to work with this material was a true honor and really showcased also like how versatile the materials in that innovative space can be. And this dress actually was then shown in the FIT Museum in New York, as they were like showcasing outfits that were inspired or made from the food industry. So our dress, being made from citrus waste, fell into the category that they wanted to showcase.
And this dress is close to our heart. I feel it will be probably close to some of your hearts because it is made from a material that we are all very familiar with here in Miami, sargassum seaweed. Yes. And again, it was a real pleasure for us to be able to get our hands on this material and to experiment with it. And it was actually part of a symposium and exhibition at FSU Museum in Tallahassee, where we just went to speak and present this dress, which had an exhibition called Homo Sargassum, which went beyond material. That was more focused on Caribbean artists and the influence of sargassum in the Caribbean. So it was very interesting to be able to participate in that. And yes.
And realizing that we as designers, you know, we are like two women, you know, like in our early 40s, and we were realizing that, okay, we can do these nice dresses and they get exposure, but where do we have more impact? And when we looked at everything that we do, the most fulfilled and the most impact that we thought we can have is if we work with educational systems and push the boundaries for the next generation of designers. Because our generation, I mean, in all fairness, excuse my language, we screwed up, you know. So basically, I'm truly sorry for all, you know, like the ignorant things that our generations and our past generations have created, because you are the ones who have to live with that. And you are the only ones who can create a real change. It's not us anymore, you know, like it's you guys. So for us, it was so important to do something which focuses on educating and elevating and inspire, you know, like the next generation of designers to work in a different way as we have learned when we studied at Central St. Martin's in London.
Yeah, so Dani and I, as we also lecture both, me here in Miami at Instituto Marangoni, my sister in Berlin at several universities and colleges. And that's when we really realized we want to bring innovations and make them accessible to the next generation of designers, students. So for example, we just had a challenge, a Future Fashion Concepts Challenge at Instituto Marangoni, Miami, where we had 5 students from Marangoni matched with 5 innovators from the textile space. And they created outfits to their liking, inspired by the material and also collaborating with the material, because it's so much about collaboration with networks, with each other, with pathways. I brought different pathways of the school together, but it's also about collaborating with the material, which is a very different process than designers are usually trained. It's almost like reverse engineering. To start with something, how should it end, and then reverse it to the beginning. And yeah, these are some of the participants and winners. And for the opening night, we had the co-founder of the United Nations Fashion and Lifestyle Network, Carrie Bennigan, speak, give the opening remarks, because Future Fashion Concepts is also a member of the United Nations Fashion and Lifestyle Network, which we are really honored to be able to participate.
And here you can see some of the designs that my students in Berlin did do with material innovations, which is stemming as far as from mycelium, which is a root structure of mushrooms, to tree bark, to to, what else do I have, with cork on linen, with upcycled materials. So again, there's also the upcycling. I left my students the liberty to choose if they want to work with material innovations or if they want to upcycle materials. Some did both, some just did the material innovations, and some were, for example, where is it, the dress in that corner over there, the white one, is an upcycled wedding dress, you know. So some people chose just to upcycle materials, and that was a challenge for them to really work with materials that stay in the cycle for as long as possible.
As part of Future Fashion Concepts, we also have an online mentorship cohort because we wanted to open it up also globally. So for young entrepreneurs or graduates or entrepreneurs who never had the opportunity to go to university. So we wanted to make that global, and a lot of people had approached us. I feel it might have come through the membership of the United Nations Fashion and Lifestyle Network. So we're like, how can we make this knowledge accessible to them because they are all over the world? Let's create an online cohort, mentorship cohort, where we can guide them through a process. It's not so hands-on with working with materials that we provide, but more focusing on advancing what they are working on individually and opening them up to our network. So that was really beautiful.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, thank you. So, see, this is a network of partners that we tap into, right, to bring solutions, ideas, but also easy and actionable things that you can get involved with, right? So, for example, you just offered the opportunity to maybe join Future Fashion Concepts, right?
Absolutely.
Paola, for example, just brought an amazing project and services that they can offer to, you know, businesses, universities, and also you can get involved with her company, right? And then Alex just showed you or shared the experience with the SDG Challenge, another opportunity that you all can join, right? So that's what we do. We activate networks, accountable impact. We want to make sure that we provide tangible solutions and opportunities for you students, right? We just don't bring the theory, but we also bring the practice and showcase the best solutions and best practices in our city, right? We don't have to look at any other countries. We're doing it in Miami. That's the key thing that we want to highlight here. It's not just happening in Berlin, perfect, but it's also coming down to Miami. You can be part of this. So I'm gonna end up with a few questions, and then we're gonna open it up to the audience to see if they have a bunch of questions, I'm sure. So Paola, for you, I'd love for you to tell us what made you decide that glass recycling was your mission, right? And how do you navigate this decision in a complex environment such as Miami, which you said that we only recycle 7% of the glasses in Miami?
And less than 7%, but let me tell you, for Miami-Dade official communication, when you send something to the incinerator, that is recycling. And for me, it was like, what? Say it again. So when you're sending something to the incinerator, that is not recycling. I mean, we are wasting all the materials that we have already extracted. So as I said before, when we had like this opportunity to think like someone should do it better with glass recycling, Francisco and I said like, well, maybe we are that someone, okay? We are now founding this. And just getting in what you say, because I love it, they said like, we did everything wrong. We did. But we still, our generation, you know, you're too young. We can hide into ignorance. We didn't know. Actually, we didn't have this kind of amazing teachers. We didn't have internet. At least when I was in my university, I didn't have it. But now, there's a lot of information. And even though we are deciding to do everything wrong, and I'm telling to my clients or to this girl from California that I was talking today, when you said like, no, you have to pay me, I was like, no, you have to pay waste management. And it is the same money that I'm talking to you about. Why do you want to pay for waste management and send all this glass to the landfill? And why you don't want to pay to a glass recycling program? It is the same money. And with hotels, for example, maybe even less money. So we are actually deciding to do everything wrong. So for you, I mean, it is very easy to do it right, but we have to decide it. We have to be very active in choosing, and we have to think very carefully where are we going to put, where are we going to support? Because every time that you vote for anyone in the government, you're supporting them. And every time that you're buying anything, for example, if I decide to buy this glass bottle, I am supporting an industry that I don't care. If I decide to bring my water bottle, I'm taking decision. I'm deciding to use my money, and that's what I call the power of consumption, because I have the power, and I decide who to support. If I'm buying a dress, I can decide where do I want my money to go. And this idea, and in 2024, we have to decide to buy less things with better quality, better processes, better design. Sorry for my English.
Your
I'm
English is
doing my
perfect. Power of the wallet. I agree completely. You have to choose wisely. Thank you, Paola. For Annette or Daniela, whoever wants to answer, I'd love to finish with a question on how does fashion play a role in the future of workforce, and what are the industries that you can share with our students that they should be looking at if they want to be involved in sustainable fashion, for example. It's not just designing, right? You mentioned a lot of industries, a lot of businesses, so I'd love for you to share with our students what is the future of workforce in sustainable fashion.
Workforce in fashion. That's a very, very interesting topic, and also very challenging to bring it to the point in like a few minutes. But just remember, fashion workforce is not just the designer, it's not just the store, it starts with the farmers. Most of our materials come from farms, it's people who plant these seeds, who, harvest them. So I think that's one of the disconnection that the fashion machine has created, is between people, humans, and fashion. So again, even though we design clothes that are made from innovations, the best thing you can do in fashion is to consume less. And when you, like you said, when you choose to buy clothes, to look where you want to put your money, where you want to support, I think that's a good advice for any kind of consumption, no matter if fashion or not. But again, there is so much opportunity, not just in sustainability and fashion, but innovation, because fashion has always been about innovation, even if it has been toxic innovation, but it's always innovation. And there is so much opportunity on the creativity, on science, so much. And there is where you find, maybe you have also science here at FIU, where you can have so much room and space for collaboration. Maybe someone creative gets together with somebody from science, or chemistry. Green chemistry is a huge field right now in sustainability and fashion. So look for those opportunities to collaborate with your peers, which can then also lead to collaboration with industry, because the industry is looking at universities, at students, at your generation, at fresh ideas, but also at that room for research and development, which is costly and takes time, and the university time is the best time to start with that process.
Thank you. Yeah, I learned so much from all of you. I remember that, and this is why I said, we have to bring them to FIU. When you said that you went to a conference back in 2013 in London, and there were scientists, chemists, biologists at those fashion conferences, that I was like, doing what? And then they got together and created those different, textiles that are now sustainable. The engineers that are going to create the machines, right? So I wanted to make an emphasis on this so that you can open your minds that even if you're in engineering, there's a role that you can play in sustainable fashion, for example, if you choose to get involved. And I want to wrap it up with Alex, being that we're in FIU. What is your activation roar for this lovely audience? What's your call to action?
Yes, my call to action is to really be able to achieve the SDGs. We have to think about, similar to what all you lovely ladies have been saying, how is it the way we work? How is it the way we think? How is it the way that we're interacting with people to bring these ideas? And how is it that we bring it to life? Because it's one thing just having the idea, but what really matters is taking action towards that idea. And especially in Miami, where we're having a turning point, where we're already seeing the effects of climate change, inequality. So many of these SDGs tackle these pressing global issues and these issues that we see in Miami. So it's the way that we go about actually creating change. And it's the way that we involve everybody. Everybody in this room is able to create change and is able to tackle at least one or if not several of the SDGs, right? And so we are the ones, I mean, we can't be waiting around, we are the ones right here, especially the youth, who have to be the ones who create the change, right? Because it's our future, right? Who's going to be, creating the change? It's us. We have no other choice. So that's that's my
Alex,
little message.
So many opportunities you guys have. Sometimes I wish I could be a student again and join Future Fashion Concepts, join the challenge seriously. But then remember how I said at the beginning that there's a reason why I showed that video, and then remember that it was shot on iPhone. Remember that? Mm-hmm. There's a reason why. So you students specifically, take a picture of that because we have a surprise for you. Just give us a second. Another great program that we brought to FIU thanks to our very good friend Cesar Camacho, who is the founder of the Miami Mobile Film Festival.
Mobile technology is disruptive and transformative of what we're going to see come to the screens globally for independent cinema.
Take advantage of the technology that exists nowadays, right? Now with the phone, you can change the world. 10, 20 years ago, you needed a whole production set. Now you don't. Now you can have a phone and create content and make it viral in seconds. So I think through film, we're gonna be changing minds and hearts.
I'm with the Miami-Dade Beacon Council, where we want sustainable, inclusive, and competitive economy. And the Miami-Dade Beacon Council and the Film Festival has a lot of synergy.
Was that great or what? Okay, so this is another opportunity for young people, students, to participate and make a submission for the Miami Mobile Film Festival, which is trying to, and Professor Rivera was there last year, trying to democratize the film industry, right? Like I said, everything that you saw, the small snippets of films that you saw, was filmed with an iPhone. So Cesar, who's right here, you want to come join us, Cesar? Don't be shy. This is Miami. This is your home. Is bringing it to Miami. Like I said, you don't have to look anywhere at London. It's in Miami. It's done in New York, the New York Film Festival, Mobile Film Festival, and Los Angeles. Ben, tell us a little bit about what the Miami Mobile Film Festival, and what you're offering to FIU students, if you may.
Thank you.
¿Cómo estás?
Thank you, guys. Mobile filmmaking is nothing new. The first mobile film festival was like 15 years ago. But the fact that we don't have a festival, we didn't have a festival in Miami was crazy, since Miami is one of the capitals of entertainment. So, like you say, yeah, we're trying to open doors and give to you guys another platform, since big guys like Netflix already accepting projects with phones. They already have like 3 or 4 movies on the platform. The Academy is already accepting materials with mobile. And mobile is not just phone. It can be a GoPro, it can be 360, it can be iPad, it can be laptop, it can be drones. So whatever in a mobile umbrella, you guys can use it. Bless you. So yeah, basically it's a platform that we bring into Miami, and hopefully support you guys in every single level in the content creation, you know.
And the
Business.
code is for FIU students, right?
Yeah, the code is for you guys, so it's gonna be, the submission is gonna be free, and you can be attending the red carpet in November. So hopefully I will see you there.
And it's a competition, just so you know. So there's how many categories of?
Or we have a short film, we have music video, new media, and students.
Yeah, it's lovely. The films that we saw last year, they were really, really, transformative. They had different, topics. They had about dreamers, dreamer moms, right? They had music videos of Puerto Rican artists, right? So we welcome you to submit a video or a short film so that you can be part of this movement. And maybe with you guys, we can do a push for the SDGs in film. What do you think about that?
Yeah.
Well, thank you. So now we're going to be opening up. Thank you for that. For questions, is there any questions, comments? Yes? No?
All right, so I have two questions for the panel. We'll start with Paola. So I love the concept of repurposing glass and especially using glass sand as a compost substrate, closing the loop for both food and glass waste. But I wanted to question you about how energy intensive the process is in repulverizing the glass, and how does that play into its sustainability aspect?
I love that question. Thank you. The process uses more or less 30% of the energy that we use in extracting more material. So, of course, you don't remember because you're very young, but when we were young, all the glass containers were, returnable? Mm-hmm. We always have to bring our milk, beer, soda bottles in order to buy another. The problem was not many years ago, 50 years ago, when the beer industries decided to sell globally. And so it was so expensive to collect their container that they decide to always use a new container. That's when everything breaks in and we decide to use more energy, more water, and more resources. We are far from our goal right now, even though we are using 30% of the energy, because we are using a lot of energy also in transportation. We have to go and collect the bottles, we have to send them to a recycling facility, we have to send the sand to another recycling facility, so we are far away from the goals. Our vehicles are not electric. One day, I hope. But well, we are in the good way, I think. We are in the good road.
No, thank you. And my second question was for the Felders. I know that your brand is a luxury industry, but do you believe that these biomaterials are possible as a long-term sustainable solution mainstream? What does the process of processing these raw materials look like? And how do those materials hold up in the long term compared to traditional textiles?
That's a really, really good question. First of all, it depends which materials you're looking at to see which industry it works for best. For example, the mycelium has a lot of different outlets of the material. So one aspect is the hides, which are aimed towards the leather industry. And those ones, I would say, they are quite pricey. So they are aimed more at the luxurious field. But then they offer foams and packaging, which are, and even they create even a vegan bacon from it, So there's a lot of different components which go into what you can create with one, with one, it's not a plant, it's an organism, I was told. It's not an animal, it's not a plant, it's an organism. So I guess there's a lot of different aspects, and the insulation industry as well. So there's a lot of potential. Most of the leather alternative materials are quite pricey. So right now they are more in the luxurious field. But hopefully, because right now they're not scaled to a level where leather is. And maybe with some of you maybe being engineers, maybe you have ideas of how to build a system where those materials are scalable, because that's one of the biggest problems right now that those materials are facing, that even though they work, the system is not set up for scalability. So that's definitely a challenge that, all the developers that work with these materials still are facing nowadays.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi. I have two questions too. One of them is maybe the father sisters will understand. I'm from Europe, and when I came here, the first thing that like shocked me about like sustainability is how in Florida they give you plastic bags. Like for one item you get like two plastic bags at the grocery store, and I just feel like still it's so shocking and such a waste. Is there anything we can do about that on in the community? Or obviously I don't get them, like I have my own bag, but like is there anything we can do to stop companies for, because I know in other states they give paper bags, or like in Europe you can't even get the plastic really. So is there anything we can do about that?
Yes, I would say that you all have voices, right? Not only the power of the wallet, but also how do you get involved in maybe doing some advocacy so that they can ban those products? And not only maybe the products, but also at the legislation level. How do you pass ordinances that cities don't allow them to? Because there's other cities that they don't allow supermarkets and restaurants to offer plastic bags. That's one thing. You can start a petition. That's where your civic engagement can play a role, especially for young people, right? Involving that with the cost plus the environmental impact that it's creating in your city, in your community, in your municipality could also work out, yeah? Because when you start putting pressure, the system starts to change. And I think you have a powerful, not what Paola was saying, the internet is now a tool that you can use to really reach many, many, many people and start making changes.
Can I say something?
Yes, please.
I have two tips for you. The first is what you're doing is the best. I mean, bring your own bag. I mean, because we can only achieve sustainable changes through individual changes. So if you inspire your friends, and then, for example, you get to get the FIU prohibition, well, we can start. I mean, in FIU, and they will maybe after that will say like, hey, you know that in FIU they prohibit plastic bags. So that is the way to start. And the other is use social media. For example, for me, the most shocking was the balloons. I mean, I come from a city where balloons was prohibited a long time ago. So for me, arriving to a beach where you allowed, and even, I mean, we are always, all the time celebrating with balloons. And for me, it's like, what is this? I mean, in 2024, we already have a lot of information on how bad this is, especially for the oceans. But if you follow, for example, Clean Miami Beach, this girl, Sophie, started a petition. And then he was very vocal about, please help me, please call Ron DeSantis, leave your message. And we were a lot of people calling. And then because of her, only one person, now at Miami Beach, we cannot bring balloons.
Yeah, there's a ban in Miami Beach to use balloons. And then to her point, right, because you often hear this answer like, yes, get involved, but it is true, it does work. The other thing that I wanted to mention is that Miami-Dade County, just recently in November, they made a ban on single-use plastics and styrofoam on county buildings. So it's starting, right? And I think you can also do that in your school. Yeah. You can do it in your local supermarkets. It does help. I mean, but also you have to get involved, and you have to get more friends involved. I don't know who's handling the questions.
I also have two questions. The first one would be for Paola. Could you explain the process for a company to partner up with Glass for Life? How would that look like?
Thank you for your question. I want to hire you. No, it's very simple. I mean, our program is like a subscription. So, for example, for a hotel, a bar, a school, something. So we deliver as many bins as they needed. We have 2 sizes of bins, and they fill the bins. And every week or twice a week, we empty the containers, and we give them. And then we process part of the sands in our warehouse, and another part we send them to an alley to make bottles again. So it is very simple. If you want to help us as a volunteer,
Can I also add, you'll be supporting a small business. Exactly. Small businesses are the economic engines of your cities. So keep that in mind when you consider hiring a service.
And we also have like a residential and commercial program. So even in your house, if you want to support us, you can join, and we will give you a special box. And for residents, it's only once a month. So you can join maybe with your neighbor and say like, okay, once a month we will fill this container, because of course in all our houses we have glass, like creams, beer, I don't know, everything, wine. Of course we have wine.
Thank you so much for the answer. And then my second question would be for the sisters. I just wanted to know what happens after the students create those gowns or you present those gowns. Do they go anywhere? What's the sustainability process beyond that?
Yeah, thank you for that question. You know, as we are growing our initiative at the moment, we ask the students to keep, they own the garment after, I mean, we connect them with the material is donated, but they own the garment. For some of my students in Berlin, they live like in very small places and share their space with like 2-3 people. I've offered for them that I can store them for them if they don't have the space. But what we are planning to do is to do different activations throughout the year, where then the students have the opportunity to showcase those designs again. For example, there is a meeting in the United Nations. It's not confirmed yet, but maybe we can bring some of the designs there. Then we just had a call this morning with Berlin Fashion Week to host the Future Fashion Concepts event there, where we would exhibit the students' work. And yeah, that looks very much it's going to happen, which we were super excited about, because, you know, like for us, it's not only important to have the message one time, but it's like reoccurring, and, you know, like the work is relevant, even if, let's say, the mycelium material, for example, I just take that as an example because I'm very obsessed with mycelium, and it's like, it's developing so much, you know, like the material, we've worked first with it, with this material in 2018, and now in 2025 it's a whole different level. So it's even nice to showcase one piece that has been made a little bit longer ago, and then to show the process of like how far it has come in just like a couple of years, because all those materials are so novel, you know, that it's really exciting also to see like how fast they are developing. And even if the customers in the commercial world, they're like, oh, but this material is not ready yet. Yes, it's not ready, but like, look, leather and all these materials have been around for hundreds or thousands of years. You know, like, look, in 5 years, how far this material has already come. So give it another 2-3 years and hello, we're talking, you know.
Thank you. I think we're at time. Do we have time for more questions or not? I think he was, sorry.
Okay, I just want to say this. I have a creative idea. For the excess biological materials we use for like the clothing, we can use them for freedom of speech, of like advocating for the same process over and over again. As also I thought about, like, so like what we're gonna do with like those dresses, we could like maybe make a sign, like a symbol with what's ever left, and say, do this, go fight for this, fight for equality, fight for anything else, social issues with the same materials, without actually saying it's from the same materials. It would just speak for itself.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Love that.
Well, let's go ahead and give a big round of applause to our panelists for today. It was such a pleasure to learn from all of you and that network of citizens around the world, I would call it. Thank you so much for all the work that each of you do, and I hope all of you are leaving today inspired by the amazing work that these women are doing to just promote the SDG in the local level and also the global level. So again, another round of applause. And as a reminder for everyone, TTR continues next week. We're going to be having our last session that is going to be in person, and then we're moving online after that. And that session is going to be about the death penalty. We do have a couple of mitigators coming over just to open a topic on that sense. I hope you have a wonderful day, and make sure that you connect with our panelists if you would like. If you have additional questions, come on. And also, we do have refreshments in the lobby area. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.